Alrighty, Glenn, welcome, mate.
Thank you, Alby.
Oh, of course. No, this is our second episode now, so you are the first guest that we've had from the US.
Amazing.
First of many, I imagine.
I would agree.
Yeah. So no, I just I thought it would be cool to sit down. I mean, this is actually the first time that you and I have sat down together, so I thought it would be really interesting to just hear a little bit about your background, real estate wise, and how long you've been in the biz.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, it all started out of my parents' garage, to be honest.
Okay.
A little bit before that, my sister had a good friend who was in the mortgage industry.
Okay.
Did some telemarketing for him for about a year and got my mortgage broker's license about a year after that. Asked 3 of my good friends if they wanted to kind of team up.
Mm-hmm.
We did. And we started a mortgage company out of my parents' garage. Cardboard, crazy. Cardboard cubicles. My mom had to co-sign for a Xerox machine.
Xerox?
I was 18, like a copy machine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Copy machine. I had no credit, right? So it was super like we bootstrapped that thing.
Yeah.
But starting so early, 18, 19 years old,
yeah.
you obviously learn a lot about business. You learn a lot about yourself. So we did that up until the crash. Had actually a very successful company. At the peak, right before the market crash in 08, 09, I had like 12 loan officers working for me. A couple of different things had happened. I only had one partner at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I had a really nice office. But I kind of foresaw that, there was some turmoil coming in the market,
mm-hmm.
and ended up getting out rather clean, selling my half of the business to my business partner. So did that. Some entrepreneurial things after that. And then I want to say in 2014, I got my real estate license in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And then just recently, 4 years ago, we moved to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and started selling luxury real estate.
And what prompted, you're from Philly originally, what prompted that move to Florida?
Yeah, so during COVID, I was really exhausted selling I don't want to say mediocre real estate, but, in Pennsylvania, average sale, or Philadelphia, right outside in the suburbs, average sale probably between like 300,000 and 400,000.
Yeah.
And, it takes the same amount of work to sell a $400,000 house,
yeah,
or a $4 or $5 million house.
Of course, same paperwork.
And
probably I would just from experience, I see that a lot of these clients that are buying 300,000 or 400,000. The emotional commitment is so much more, right? So it's like their life that they're putting, their life savings almost, yes. Or it's going to be their main house. So it's so much more. They're so much harder to please. Whereas maybe someone who's buying in the higher, second, third home, for them they're not married to that house, right? Or a condo. They'll buy it, live in it for a couple of years, sell it, make a profit, move on. So the kind of emotional side of it's totally different.
100%. Yeah. 100%. More, anybody buying a $4 or $5+ million house, they've probably already purchased before. They're not using their life savings to cash out on this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, so you going back, what made you make that move down to Florida?
So we basically, during COVID, we basically said that, look, this is our only chance. My wife's parents, my wife is kind of from Florida.
Okay.
But we saw that there was also a very big gap in the, I want to say, the quality of some agents in South Florida. We were down, let's just say, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and we're like, we want to buy an investment property here. Mm-hmm. I must have reached out to 10, 12 agents, just calling from realtor.com.
Yeah.
Not one picked up, not one called back.
Yeah.
And that was 10 years ago, let's just say.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed. So you still have that kind of quality just because there's so many licensees.
Yeah.
Right.
And I guess you have people that are full-time and part-time, right? So they're either a full-time agent and that's what they do and that's their bread and butter and that's what they do for a living. But I guess a lot of people, from what I can hear at least in the US, they will just take their license And, maybe your dad or your uncle or your friend or whatever will give you a listing, but it's not really their main source of income.
Yeah. So my barber, for example, is a real estate agent. And I had to tell him, he's actually not my barber anymore after this conversation. But I told him, I'm like, look, you're either all in real estate, or you can't be like, half foot in, half foot out, because you're not really benefiting your client in any way.
Yeah.
You're just benefiting yourself in that case.
And looks good on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm a real estate broker.
Yeah. I wouldn't, for some people, sure. But I would say, for some people, it's a very, self-soothing, they'd rather just make money where they can.
Yeah.
I think anybody who's in this full time, they realize that it's not about, it's not exactly about the sale. It's about doing a great job. Mm-hmm. As long as you do a great job, the money's always going to flow.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that for the part-timers, it's kind of the opposite. It's the money instead of doing a great job.
Yeah. They see it as an easy way in, right? And I guess it's similar here to some degree, because I guess here you don't even need a license.
Yeah.
Right. So here in Mallorca, Ibiza, and most of Spain, with the exception of Barcelona for some reason, you're not required to have a real estate license. So then literally anyone can just, jump in, or, we have it even to the degree where you'll go door knocking or whatever, and you're trying to list a property, and the gardener will open, or the cleaner will open, or, a caretaker or someone at the house. And you might have a legitimate client for that house, and that's why you're knocking in the first place.
Of course.
And they're like, yeah, I'll put you in touch with the owner, but, I want 1%, or our fees here are 5%, right? So it's like, I want 1%, or I want half. And that's strictly because they can get away with it, or get away with asking for it, because
there's no
regulation. And I guess we've come unstuck with that a few times.
Yeah.
But so that's always keen to pay referrals, but
of course,
let's kind of be honest about the kind of level of work here.
Yeah. So I think that's actually one of the big things in the States is you can't pay a referral fee or a commission to anybody who's not a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Because if we could, we'd be making a lot more money.
Yeah. So your barber's clearing out by the sound of it on referrals.
Yeah, 100%. He was a great barber.
Yeah,
it was hard finding a new one.
That is.
But it was look, I tell it the way that it is. Mm-hmm. I'm like 100%. I'm either going to be brutally honest, or I'm just I'm not gonna say anything to.
Yeah.
But yeah, new barber.
Interesting new barber coming out. So if anyone wants to reach out on Instagram, I guess they can.
For sure.
I
already found it.
Oh, you okay.
I did. I found
Scrap that. We'll cut that bit out. So you started off in mortgages, then started working as you've got your license. How long have you been at the agency now?
So I've been at the agency just under 2 years now.
Okay.
Let's say a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. And the Fort Lauderdale office, correct me if I'm wrong, that opened January this year.
That's right.
Okay, so you were operating out of the Miami office and operating in the Fort Lauderdale area.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
How many are in the team now that you've got the office there?
So I want to say there's about 8 of us, and there was a new team that just joined the other day, and I believe there's 7 of them. So in total, there should be about 15.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So still very boutique.
Yeah.
Collaboration, but still small office.
Yeah, that's the key part. We are, with our second office opening, maybe a couple of weeks depending on renovations. Classic. We're going to be 9, and I feel like keeping that culture and that kind of good energy in the office. We could probably hire. If I had a penny for every kind of CV that I got. To be honest, also because of the brand, right?
Sure.
A lot of people want to get attached to that Netflix sexy brand. It's very Hollywood, and it attracts a lot of people. But keeping, still, you want that kind of good office energy, but also at the same time, bit of competitiveness, high performers. You know what I mean? And I think you mentioned it earlier on, but just having big performers around you, and it kind of brings another side of you out, right? It's like you see they're doing sales, and you're like, hey, I'm happy for him, but I want to do more. You know what I mean? Now I want to go and sell something, and it just kind of builds that
100%.
Build that side up. But you know, especially in the US, here there are many agents as well, but I think in the US you've got a lot of big brands. Here they're a little bit more kind of local brands, stuff like that. You know, with your Compasses, Sotheby's, these kind of people, what made you kind of, you know, look at the agency and say, okay, this is the one that fits?
Yeah, so I think that's exactly, you said it, that it's these big brands, right? And in Fort Lauderdale, I was with Compass prior to.
Okay.
The agency, and for me, it was kind of like a tipping point, right? It's either I'm going to stay with the big brand or I'm going to go boutique, right? So the only real boutiques are going to be like your mom and pop shops in Fort Lauderdale, or a brand, but that has that boutique feel.
Yeah.
Me and my wife, we obviously are big fans of the show, big fans of Mo. My wife's been...
It's fucking hard not to be, really.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. You know, my wife's been watching Beverly Hills Housewives for God knows how long. Yeah. So, you know, it feels like you've known Mo for, you know, forever.
Yeah.
But it was kind of an easy decision. We were watching, I think it was like season 2. And I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll give them a call. I wasn't really happy at Compass. There was like no driving force for me, right? Like I know that I could have done more, but there was no stock. Like all the stock went to like the big boys.
Yeah. Okay. It's like in terms of support from marketing and stuff like that, or...
Yeah, I would say more like, you know, if for example, you know, you're a baseball player, you're in college, and you're going to be a recruiter, right? And you go out and you look at, you know, pitchers, for example, and you see, okay, well, this guy's going to be really good. We need to pay attention to him. I felt like, you know, that was me, right?
Okay.
Like they could see that there's a lot of horsepower under the engine, right? But you got to let it out.
Yeah.
And you got to
subdue it.
Yeah, you got to give some type of level of support. And I think because they were giving the big guys so much of that support that you kind of got drowned out.
Yeah.
So I started kind of shopping around, but agency felt right.
Yeah.
Met with Howard and which is our broker.
Yeah.
And Erica. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing guy.
That was Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Erica, actually, she's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, no, we hit it off and haven't looked back since.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it there. Having that team behind you, but having a name behind you is great. The brokerage behind you, but having the team behind you, even locally, each office to support it, right? And I think that's something, at least what I've seen, maybe be a key differentiator here, is that every office with the agency is, almost required to have that kind of level of support for the agents.
Agreed.
And I think, as we opened here, we've tried to do the same to give the agents basically the best support network they get. So whether it's marketing, we have 2 girls in the office that are just strictly on marketing, content creation. We have a team that does that, but photographers, videographers separately, but the in-house marketing team then wrap that all together and then give the agents the ammunition that they need to just focus on selling clients and selling, which is what do you want an agent to be doing, right? I mean, and as an agent, that's what you want, is someone that okay, I've got the support from them. Now I can go on and 100% do the best job we can.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, a lot of people have this misconception that, like, I personally, I don't feel like I have to sell houses, right? Like, I don't sell the house. The person, if I'm going to take somebody to a house, as long as I match it, right? Match them to the house, it'll sell itself.
Yeah.
Right? But our job is finding the people to sell the houses to.
Yes.
And, I think people, have this glamorous vision of real estate, but at the end of the day, it's just about lead gen, right? That's 95% of the battle.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you're preaching to the choir, I think, on that. And I always thought that was something that was just hyper-local.
Yeah.
Like here, that was just a European thing. But I guess, we don't have an MLS. So, we don't have Realtor.com. We don't have Zillow, where buyers are kind of going on. We have a few similar things, a few different platforms that work. But the key of it is the lead gen. And that's what we're doing on the content side.
Sure.
That's what our content team is doing. We have guys in-house who are just focusing on campaigns. I'm not going to spill too much, but
of course,
you know, certain campaigns, and we can talk about it after.
Yeah.
But that kind of get that material and get it in front of the right people, and that's the you know, the vital part of it. Because yeah, you can. The brand, I think, also helps attract really nice glossy listings, but ultimately, if you're not selling or not, you know, not doing viewings, then you're going to have certain owners to answer to, right?
Of course. Yeah, so basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like all your listings are kind of like off-market listings, right? In a sense, because I mean, there's no...
yes and no, because, I mean, we do have like proper off-market listings that are not published anywhere.
Sure.
You know, some of the sellers that we have would, you know, fucking kill me if anything actually got out that it was for sale. But we have the listings on our own website, and we have a bunch of other platforms where, you know, the public can go and see them. You know, I mean, just to mention James Edition, Idealista is a famous one here in Spain, and I think they operate in Portugal as well. But the price point that the type of client that goes on Idealista is, you know, far below what, you know, our average. I mean, I think our average list price right now is, you know, kind of 4 million or something like that. But it's an open market listing, so owners won't list with every agent because they still want to keep some level of control. So they might have 3, 4, 5 agents that are trying to touch different markets. So they might list with like a Scandinavian agent, German-speaking agent, and then usually that's where we come in as the kind of, I would say, leading US-focused agency to reach into that market, right? And that's what, you know, when I'm speaking to a lot of our sellers, I always say that the key part of the agency is this, you know, it's you and I here talking, you know, this is the first time that you and I have met, but we've been engaging on Instagram for maybe 6 months, a year prior, right? Sure. So, and, you know, you mentioned Howard, you mentioned Daniel Sinker in Miami. I know these guys, I met them in person. Yeah. You know, you've not been yet, but I want to just kind of swivel into Forum real quick. Yeah. That getting all these agents together, I mean, for context, Forum is the agency's annual real estate conference, but I think it's a real estate conference on steroids. Last one was in Palm Springs. I think you missed that with your wife's birthday, right?
I did.
Yeah. So Mackenzie Green, who organizes that, shout out Mackenzie, she does a hell of a job getting everyone together, but also in a kind of light-hearted environment. I mean, we arrived, day one was a Coachella fiesta, right? So everyone arrives full of energy, goes straight into a Coachella party, and just completely sends it. Yeah. You know? And then you've got next morning, 9 a.m., you know, conferences and talks and speeches, and you're just basically running on tequila and caffeine at that stage. Right. But getting everyone together so that they can network, so that they know each other, I think is a secret sauce. Because
100%.
If you've got, you know, we're not relying, but, you know, from the US client side, obviously we're relying on inbound referrals, and that comes from within the network. And that comes by knowing each other, right? At the end of the day, if I had a client for Fort Lauderdale, you know, who wants to buy a house there, now we know each other. I know that if I send a client to you, that, you know, you're going to look after them the right way and it's going to be professional. But to do that blindly is can be worrying, even if you're in the same company, right? Because if you don't actually know them, you're like you mentioned earlier on, by, you know, calling agents and they don't answer. Imagine you send an outbound referral to the head office or to one of the agents, and they read it, like it on Instagram or on WhatsApp or whatever, and then never reply to the client. That looks bad on you.
Of course.
Right? So you're always making that kind of conscious effort to reach out, get to know each other, and obviously this, I think, is priceless.
Yeah, no, well, you hit it right on the head, because, you know, that's a direct depiction. You know, the client that you're sending over, that's a direct depiction on you.
Yeah.
Because if you send it to somebody and the vibe is bad, or, you know, they just don't know what they're doing, they're going to be like, Alby, who the hell did you send me to?
Yeah.
You know?
And I must say, you know, to be honest, I've had that. Sure. I've referred properties out that hasn't gone the way it kind of maybe should have, but then equally, you know, re-engage the client into someone else.
Yeah.
And they've had a great relationship. You know, I actually had a client who, they're from Madrid, Spanish family, and they had a condo in Miami Beach somewhere. and we referred it out to Mikhail.
Yeah.
Yeah. He went, spoke to the owners, loved his energy, and got the listing. It was like $9.5 million.
He's an amazing guy, by
Yeah, super top guy. I've met him just at Forum, but that's how that connection's made. If not, I would have been pretty lost. Maybe called Howard and said,
"Who they got for me?
Who have you got?" And then you can end up with anyone. I'm sure everyone there's pretty competent, but it comes off the connection. I met these guys and they were so great. I'm not going to talk shit, but they're very on top of the broker. I mean, we had 2 of their listings here, and every couple of weeks we get a message or a call like, "Hey, what's going on?" We're like, we just put it on the market.
Sure.
You were on the market previously, so it's not like we're bringing in something new. So then it takes a bit of time to try and find that right buyer, because if it's been on the market beforehand, they may have already seen it. So you have to come on with a new marketing strategy and content, and then it becomes a whole other thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I actually just got a referral from Colorado.
Okay.
And we just closed it. It was an off-market deal. It was a listing that I was about to list. But the buyer was like, I told him, I'm like, "Listen, I have this coming up. You're flying in. It's a little over your budget, but I think you should see it."
Yeah.
Showed it to him last. The guy loved the house, bought it. And he actually... really amazing guy.
Mm-hmm.
Also owns a mortgage company for veterans in Colorado, licensed in a couple different states, Florida now. But he's like, "Listen," he's like, "Dude," he's like, "You're amazing." He's like, "I know agents in Florida synonymously aren't that great."
Yeah.
He's like, "But you fucking killed it."
Nice. You got in with the mortgage background. It was like, we're the same people.
That's it. That's it. We slide in the way they're supposed to.
But again, that's all about knowing your client and knowing who you're referring to, right? If you've got that background, you're like, okay, these guys are going to click instantly.
Absolutely.
I have the same here with our own agents, right? So again, as a broker here, what we do a lot of is generate leads for our agents.
Okay.
So as the leads come in, I can kind of get a little bit, sometimes you just don't know because it's just a name, an email address, telephone number, and their criteria, right?
Yeah.
But every now and then a name will pop up, that you recognize. So just go on Google and like, okay, I know this guy.
Yeah.
And, we've got 2 male agents in our office, and Laura, who's one of our German speaking. But the 2 guys, same age, but couldn't really be more different. Right. Very well dressed, the 2 of them. But Trevor, he's our sales director here in the office.
Okay.
Some people take their clients golf or whatever. Trevor takes his clients to the shooting range.
Nice.
Right?
Me and Trevor would get along.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But when he first told me, I was like, oh my God, this is like a disaster. You know what I mean? Like this can only end poorly.
For sure.
I think he sold 2 or 3 houses at the shooting range.
Amazing.
It's like a bro thing. Do you know what I mean? Like I think he just connects with people like naturally like that. Whereas Dustin's he spends a lot more time with clients.
Sure.
So he's like, we're selling a house now, a farmhouse in Sarapita, and he's the guy he'll pick them up from the airport and drive them all over the island to help them Yeah, exactly. It's the white glove service, which kind of comes back to the agency again and what they're trying to do on a corporate level. But this house, I mean, he picked a client up Wednesday in the airport, and then he had 8 hours a day until I think Saturday. So it was Wednesday till Friday evening, 8 hours a day touring the island because these clients came over and they didn't know where they wanted to be.
Sure.
So
he's a big island.
It isn't. It's pretty. I mean, it can feel it.
Yeah.
But when you're driving like that, and
that's what I mean. Yeah. For us being from the States, I mean, it feels relatively large.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from one end to the other, and you've been touring it a bit, and I think it'd be. This is your first time here, right?
First time.
So
first of many.
Yeah, we'll be back, I'm sure. But I wanted to get your feel on how that, what it's like from the other side, coming from the US. There are so many tourists that are coming here now from the US. So I want to see it from your perspective. Yeah. Coming over for the first time, you stayed in Valdemosa, right? First time.
Stayed in Valdemosa for 2 nights, 3 nights. It was beautiful. Yeah. I mean, it's your ears pop as soon as you start heading up.
Driving up the mountain, yeah.
Yeah. But very nice. If you want to go to relax, I feel like that's where you go.
Spot. Yeah.
The one thing here that's interesting is not a lot of traffic lights. Not a lot of traffic lights, and almost everything's a roundabout.
They love a roundabout.
Love the roundabouts.
If in doubt, put a roundabout. That's how they run the road system here.
But no, I mean, look, I think it's rich in history. Obviously, we kind of talked about this. I love Europe. Right, this is our first time here. It's our second day in Palma, so we've obviously done some exploring. I love that it's super clean. We went to the cathedral yesterday.
Nice.
Got all of our steps in.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. We're looking forward to exploring the rest of the island for sure.
When do you leave? You're here until?
We're here till Saturday.
Okay, nice. And then your Euro trip continues.
Then the Euro trip continues to the Greek islands.
Nice. Yes. And that's the one thing I love when we've got this year alone, I think at least 20 agents coming from the US. Erica also is coming. Yeah. So everyone comes and they want the full itinerary and they want to kind of tour around a bit. Of course. But I just think it's great. You come over to Europe and then Mallorca is a stop and you might be here for a week, but then, got guys going from here to Italy and then Italy to Greece, and you just make that whole kind of month trip of it. Yeah,
well, it's a good hub because you could maneuver around fairly easily.
Yeah.
Around wherever you're going.
Yeah. I think Greece will be one fun way to get to, but I think you'll love it. I've got some Mykonos recommendations that I'll probably hit you. I know you're here with the fam. Yeah. We'll do some.
Well, did you go to Kiki's?
I didn't. No. You told me about it afterwards.
I didn't go to Kiki.
You told me about it afterwards.
But it's a good place.
Yeah. I don't know when I'll be back in Greece, at least Mykonos, but I'm still recovering from it, both emotionally and financially from the last time I was there. But hopefully I'll be back soon.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah. So I think, you're heading out Saturday. I probably won't see you before you leave, but we're definitely going to see each other in January.
100%.
Again, I don't know if I can say it on X. I don't know if it's public knowledge, but...
It is.
Is it public knowledge?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we Forum is in January this year in Fort Lauderdale.
In Fort Lauderdale.
I know you're expecting your son at that point, but
I am, which I'm very...
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. Just found out a couple of days ago.
Amazing.
This is amazing.
Amazing. So hopefully, we'll see each other then, and
absolutely.
It's been great talking to you, man.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Cheers.
Thank you. Dude, appreciate it.
Bosh.